Hello, everybody. And yeah, happy day today. So, today we are going to have a safety training. I know I said it was something else, but I know how much you love SEO. I'm just kidding. It's Friday, no safety trainings. I just like to scare you. So today we have a class. It's actually a fun class because I like fun classes on Friday to learn about something interesting. So I found something accidentally that I was like, oh, I think my class would actually really enjoy this. So there are certain myths that people believe that are common. So they're common myths that people actually believe are true. So I found the site that they actually go through and they find these different myths, some of the most popular ones that people believe. Your friends will tell you that this is true. Family will tell you it's true. You hear it in school and people will say it's true. And they're actually not true at all. There's no basis to them. And so they've actually gone through and fact found and been like, okay, look, this is actually not true at all. And then they kind of go behind why it's not actually true. So it should be fun, So these are things that now you can actually go and tell friends that it's not exactly true. So, don't go around telling everybody this because it's not accurate. So here we go. Let's check in on this. Okay, so there's a myth that you must wait 24 hours before filling out a missing persons report. So sometimes somebody will go missing and you want to find them, and on all sorts of cop shows it's like, oh, sorry, we can't do anything in the first 24 hours. So many movies and television shows have imagined this myth in our brains that there's a 24-hour waiting period before reporting a missing person. But the truth is that one must report an unexplained absence as soon as they can. Police stress that the first 12 to 24 hours are the most crucial in this type of investigation. So it's actually the exact opposite of that. The minute you really notice somebody's been missing for a good amount of time, you want to let them know so they can kind of figure out from there where to go. It's just kind of like in our program, when it comes to a missing person, you want to immediately stop. We don't want to wait 24 hours like, oh, sorry, somebody left our group. Let's give it another 30 minutes and see if they just show up again. No, you want to immediately start on that because, the sooner you can figure it out with all the evidence you have, the better. So, big myth. Okay, second myth that we will debunk or has been debunked is that turkey makes you sleepy. So a lot of people say, oh, just, eating turkey, just, like Thanksgiving, and that's why everybody gets tired. Okay, so the reality is turkey won't knock you out. Many people claim that the amino acid in turkey, tryptophan, is the culprit for tiredness after a big Thanksgiving meal. While this amino acid does promote good sleep, a few slices of turkey won't make you fall asleep, but rather, other high-carb food we eat at this meal can raise blood sugar levels, which can ultimately make you fall asleep on the couch. So it's really the high-carb foods. It's not the tryptophan in the turkey. There's a lot of things that really go into it. It's probably a combination of a bunch of things that you're eating that actually make you tired. Okay, so you can tell your family, when they start saying, oh, is that turkey? You can say, actually, it's not. It's the high-carb food. So look at what's here, and it's high carb, and it's not. Tryptophan, yes, it promotes good sleep. Okay, so next myth. There are right-brained and left-brained people. So, it's always been like, oh, they're more right-brained because they're creative, or they're more left-brained because they're mathematical or logical or something like that. Or they, things like that. So, the reality is there's no evidence of right or left dominance. The theory that people's brains are either left side or right side dominant is a myth. Sure, we all have different personalities and talents as well as certain brain functions that happen on one side of the brain than the other. It's believed that right-brained people are more creative and left-brained people are more logical. Turns out people don't have a stronger left or right brain network. It's It's just kind of who you are, what you're interested in. It's probably more socialized than anything else. This is a new one for me. This next one. So the myth, because I've never heard this one before. Myth: the Great Fire of London ended the bubonic plague. Now, the bubonic plague, as hopefully most people know, at least I found out, I didn't know for the longest time, but it was actually caused by rats, and that's where the bubonic plague spread from. But I didn't ever hear that the Great Fire of London, that this was a myth. Reality: the fire did not purge the plague from the city. So many people claim that there was a silver lining to the fire, saying that it helped wipe out rats and fleas that were spreading the plague. Yeah, and the fleas. In actuality, the fire only burned a quarter of the city, and hygiene did not improve afterward either. Even more important was that the places that were most affected by the plague were not harmed by the fire. So, yeah. So, learn something new and learn that it's a myth. Myth: Roman sculptures are supposed to be white marble statues. Okay, so let's see. So reality, they were originally painted with color, but chipped away over time. So I'm thinking it's painted. But here's an example. Let's see if you can see it. See? So that's how they originally look. But over time, that's how it ended up looking. So they weren't actually supposed to be just white marble, even though it looks really good. So when we think of Roman sculptures, we often think of beautifully carved white marble creations. However, Roman statues were painted with vibrant colors, but faded over the years since they were buried for hundreds of years. Over time, the Western culture agreed as a whole that the white marble was prettier, and archaeologists and museum curators scrubbed the color away before presenting the pieces to the public. So that you see the white marble and everything like that? No, that's people after actually making them look that way and taking away all the paint that was originally on them. So they used to look a lot more lifelike. Myth. So the myth here. So now all of us have thought about this. So a polygraph test is an accurate way to test if somebody is lying. So you know the things where they hook you up to a polygraph test, and then they have this little thing, and it measures your kind of heart rate as you go through, and then they do little markers, and then they can tell if you're lying or not. Well, so reality, polygraphs are less about detecting lies and more about detecting physiological responses. So the accuracy of the polygraph test might not be as accurate as we may think. This kind of test measures a number of physiological responses such as heart rate, respiration, and sweat. In reality, the evidence from the lie detector test is rarely used in court. Because, honestly, being hooked up to the test itself is going to raise your heart rate. Just like a lot of times when you go to the hospital and they put that on and they test your heart rate, sometimes it's higher because a lot of people are like, this makes me uncomfortable. Whereas if you're at home and you test yourself, your heart rate a lot of times would be a lot lower because you're comfortable where you are, you're not in a hospital, about to maybe, have a procedure done or something like that, to where you're in a tough place. Okay, here's a myth, which I kind of thought was true, but it makes sense. A myth: adding another lane to a highway will free up the traffic. So, the reality is adding more lanes actually makes traffic congestion worse. Believe it or not, more lanes can increase traffic, which is the opposite of what we want. Increasing the space allows more people to move around. By making driving easier, more people will use their cars more than they originally would have. Not everyone can drive at a constant speed, so it seems traffic will be something we will always deal with. So even if we destroyed all the trees and had everything just turn into traffic, would still somehow figure out a way to to clog it all up. So it's as good as it's gonna get out there, folks. So here's one that I did kind of know about. Um, so a lot of people think if you get a jellyfish sting, say you're out swimming in the ocean or standing in the ocean, jellyfish comes up, stings you, that peeing on it, on the where you got stung, will help alleviate the pain. Well, that's a myth. So reality, peeing on a jellyfish sting could make the pain even worse. So there was an episode on Friends where they heard about this, but in real life, it's not the case. Urine is not a good treatment for the sting because it can cause stinging cells to release more venom. The best thing to do is remove the tentacles and apply rubbing alcohol or vinegar to help with the pain. There you go. So whenever, that's why if you go out somewhere, you should always have a first aid kit. And in there's the alcohol pads, which we have in our bags. And you wipe something down with that to disinfect it, because that's the best way. Myth: breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Reality: this is only a marketing slogan created for customers to buy more Kellogg cereal. Wow. Take that, Kellogg's. Yes, there are many benefits to eating a well-rounded breakfast, but it's not the most important meal of the day. The slogan, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, was used to sell a new cereal. It wasn't long after that the bacon industry tried to convince people about the significance of eating protein first thing in the morning. So every meal is actually important. I will admit, for me though, breakfast, if I have a breakfast, I can usually I could skip lunch if I have breakfast. But then if I skip breakfast, like I just don't feel good throughout the morning. So it's not the most important meal, but it's the meal that I tend to have more frequently. I mean, on a consistent basis. But that's just me. Here's a myth: Walt Disney was the creator of Mickey Mouse. So reality: Disney's best friend, Ubi Iwerks, was the one who brought the iconic character to life. So Ubi Iwerks was the father of Mickey Mouse, who sketched the famous mouse back in 1928. Unfortunately, Disney claimed he came up with the character himself. Iwerks eventually left Walt Disney Studios, and started his own animation studio. But 10 years after he left, he returned to the studio as a special effects problem solver, and the two became friends again. Okay, well, there you go. So Disney, kind of a plagiarist. But either way, it's still iconic, and they became friends again. So, yay. Myth: Adam and Eve ate an apple. Okay, this one, I don't know. How do you argue with the Bible? Because it's the Bible is myth itself. Anyway, so reality: not an apple, but a fruit. We hate to break it to you, but in the book of Genesis, does it say that Adam and Eve ate an apple? Shocking, right? In truth, Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge. That is, fruit, not apple. Oh well. Apples wouldn't be our first choice for representing human sin. The title belongs to pizza alone. This is according to these people. But it's true. It's the forbidden fruit, which, who knows? But they do say apple. Miss, humans use only 10% of their brain. Reality. We actually use every part of our brain. So this is as smart as we get. Neurologists agree that though we only use part of our brains for every given task, we use every region of our noggin almost every day. In other words, there's no such thing as unlocking a 250 IQ galaxy brain, which frankly is actually a bit disappointing. So, so Viking helmets have horns. It's a myth. In reality, they don't, but horns are still cool. Um, So it's about time. Well, so Moop had assumptions about our Nordic brethren. Apparently, the horned helmet trope originated in the 19th century Wagnerian operas and somehow made its way into literally every single depiction of Vikings ever. So Wagner, he did write operas. Not the greatest guy, but he wrote operas and people really liked them. But yeah, he's the one who actually put the horns on, you know, on the Viking helmet. So another myth: we only have 5 senses. So we probably have more than just 5. So some scientists insist that there are actually 9 senses. Others believe that there are 21. The point is that the whole issue is still a hot topic of disagreement among scientists, as the minute details of what defines a sense are debated. What is clear is that the age-old idea that 5 senses, coined by the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle in 350 BC, is inaccurate. Okay, so we'll just do a few more because I know time's ticking away here. Myth: it takes 7 years to digest gum. Wow. So, well, the reality is gum is flushed out of the body in a few days. So I always heard that it like wrapped around your heart too. I don't know. I'm guessing this is something teachers told us just not to eat gum in their class. The truth is even worse. Gum isn't digestible at all. It just passes through your body unscathed. In just a few days, it'll all come out of your body in pretty much the same shape it came in. This isn't unique to gum, though. Many of our favorite culinary delights, like corn, are actually neurological enigmas that our bodies have no idea how to digest. So your body's just like, I don't know what this is. Just get it out of here. Just the way it is. Okay. So here's a myth. Kind of a Finding Nemo myth in a way. And this will be our last one. But myth: goldfish have a memory span of 3 seconds. Let's see here. And in reality, they have a memory span of 3 months. We blame Finding Nemo for this one. Sorry. I swear I didn't read this. I waited for this class. It's true that goldfish aren't the most intelligent creatures on the planet, but they do have a memory span of approximately 3 months. That's more than can be said for those of us who can't even remember what they had for lunch yesterday. Well, that's because we think too much. And we cram our brains full of all sorts of stuff, like this stuff. Well, there are still more, like, on here. So maybe someday, let's see how many more there are. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so there's a few more. So I will come back to this at some point. I just need to remember where I left off. Let me grab a pen real fast. So we left off at goldfish. And I can start again after that. Part 2. But so these are some common myths that we believe, and now you can tell people that's not actually true. And you can say, I have the answer. And if needed, I can send you this link so that you can show it to your friends, but actually after I do the next class, because I'm saving this. You can go and try to find it yourself. Anyway, have a very wonderful weekend. I will see you all next week. All right, ciao for now, everybody.